Hello guys, in this video we are going to learn 1.2 Public Procurement and Project Management. It is October month 2021 current affairs under Polity and Governance. So let's start. Here public procurement means goods and services and the work that is done by the center and state government. And here project management means leading the work that is to be done. Okay, now these topics are in use because the Ministry of Finance has released the guidelines to reform public procurement and project management. So now these topics are, we'll learn about these topics. So before learning, we'll see about public procurement framework in India. This box. So first, constitutional provisions. What are the articles which are provided for the public procurement? First is Article 246. Here in this article, Parliament has exclusive power to make laws with respect to any of the matters enumerated in List 1 of 7th Schedule. List 1 of 7th Schedule is the Union List, and Article 288 deals with exemptions from taxation by states in respect of water and electricity in certain cases. So I will tell detailed information about all these articles and all these acts. So please note it down if you want to revise again. And Article 298 deals with power to carry on trade etc. for union and states. Article 299 deals with contracts of union government and state government. Article 300 deals with suits and proceedings. That is, the Parliament may by law impose restrictions on freedom of trade, commerce, intercourse between one state and other state. So now Article 300A deals with right to property, and Article 355 deals with the duty of the union to protect states against external aggression and internal disturbances. These are the articles which are under public procurement framework. Now let's go to the legislative provisions. The first act is Contract Act 1872. Here, this act defines the contract as an agreement which is enforceable by law. This law is applicable to all the states of India. Now, Sales of Goods Act 1930 deals with it. This act defines a contract wherein the seller of a particular goods transfer or agrees to transfer the goods to the buyer of some price for some price. Now next is Prevention of Corruption Act 1988. This is the act passed by Parliament to combat corruption in government agencies and public sector businesses. Now the next is Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996. Actually, arbitration here means the third party resolving the disputes between the other two parties. That is the arbitration. And conciliation meaning is the action of stopping someone being angry. So this act is related to that only. That is, it is related to consolidate and amend the law relating to domestic arbitration, internal commercial arbitration, international commercial arbitration, etc. And now the Competition Act 2002. Under this act, the commission was established. That is now called Competition Commission of India, CCI. So under this, some of the aspects are recommended. One is to prevent practices which affect the competition in trade. Second is to promote competition. Third is to protect the interests of consumers. And the next act is Central Vigilance Commission 2003 and RTI 2005. Here, the Central Vigilance Commission Act 2003 deals with inquiring on the offences done by certain categories of public servants under Prevention of Corruption Act 1988. Now RTI, that is Right to Information Act 2005, sets rules and procedures regarding citizens' right to Information Act. And the last is Procurement Act at state level. This actually deals with, this act regulates the process by which government acquires goods and services at the state level. These are some of the legal provisions of public procurement framework in India. And now let's get into the administrative guidelines. The first is DEPR 1978. Here DEPR means Delegation of Financial Power Rules 1978. These rules act as a tool of public finance management and all the financial powers that are which are dealt by Ministry of Finance. And now the GFRs 2017, that is General Financial Rules 2017. These are the compilation of rules and orders of Government of India that are followed by all the dealings with public finances. Now MSME orders, that is Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Order 2012. It is regarded with procurement of 20% of their annual value of the micro, small and medium enterprises. Now MOF manuals is Ministry of Financial Manuals. Now what is the manuals means? Manuals means a book that gives you a practical instructions. So that is regarding this one. And next is Defense Railways PWD manuals. PWD means Public Works Department manuals. These are all related to instructions. And next is Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, ROP and PMA. That is, ROP means Rules of Procedure and PMA means Preferential Market Assessment. So now next is DGS and D manual 1999. It is, DGS means Directorate General of Supplies and Disposal Manuals 1999. This is under Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So all these manuals are related to the instructions in different sectors. So now let's see overseers. Now what is this overseers means? It means a person who is in charge of project or group of workers. He is called overseers. I'll repeat once again. Overseers means a person who is in charge of project or group of workers. So the first is Procurement Policy Division. This actually has two sections. One is Policy Development and Monitoring section and the other is Procurement Management Selection. So under this, the Procurement Policy Division goes on. That is, the work goes on. Now the second is CVC. CVC means Central Vigilance Commission. It was formed to address governmental corruptions regarding the procurement. And next is CAG. CAG means Comptroller and Auditor General, and he is a constitutional body which has been established under Article 148. So he audits all the receipts and expenditure of Government of India and state government, including autonomous bodies and corporations financed by government. That is related to CAG. And the next is CCI. So what is this? Competitive Commission of India. This is established under Competition Act 2002. So here Competition Commission of India is the national chief competition regulator in India. This is a statutory body. Now what is this statutory body means? It is statutory body means which is set up by law. So it is under Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Now the next is CBI. CBI is the Central Bureau of Investigation. It is the premier investigating agency of India. So these are all the frameworks in India which are related to public procurement. And now let us get into the news. So public procurement and project management includes purchase of goods and services. See, public procurement means purchase of goods and project management means dealing with the projects or services. So at present, the General Financial Rules 2017 and the Ministry of Finance procurement manuals act as general guidelines for all the agencies and also gives freedom to individual agencies to have their own procurement rules, which are according to the General Financial Rules 2017 and Ministry of Finance procurement manuals. So this gives freedom to the individual agencies. Now the next is, see, I'll tell you another example here. For example, Ministry of Defence and Railways have their own procurement guidelines up to 50% of their budget. Defence Acquisition Procedure 2020 is one of such guidelines released by Ministry of Defence. The Defence Acquisition Procedure contains 5 R's for procurement. That is, different agencies have their individual procurement guidelines. So that individual procurement guidelines have almost 50% of the budget received by the central government. So 50% budget is in their hands. They can procure as per their own guidelines. One such example is Defence Acquisition Procedure 2020. Now what is this Defence Acquisition Procedure? It actually has 5 R's. These are the guidelines. The 5 R's are the guidelines of Defence Acquisition Procedure. Now let us get into that. First R is right to quality. That is, quality of procurement should be there. Next is right to price. Right price is needed, not overpricing or not the lowest price. If he or she buys at lower price, it means the quality is missing there. So that is L1 method, and that is related to other one. So second R is right to price. Third is right time and place, and the fourth is right quantity, and fifth is right source. Right source means they have the right to know from which source they are getting their goods and services. Suppose from Russia we are getting some rifles, or from US we are getting some other weapons. That definite agency of source should be known for the customer. So that is the fifth right to source. So I'll repeat it once again. The 5 guidelines under Defence Acquisition Procedure 2020 are right to quality, right to price, right to time and place, right to quantity, right to source. Is it clear, guys? These are some of the procurement guidelines which are generated by Ministry of Defence. So now the next is, why was the need felt to tweak the framework? Tweak means implement. So why was the need felt to implement these new guidelines now? So all these guidelines are okay. What made them to frame new guidelines? The reasons are, first is the absence of comprehensive law. India is the second most populous country worldwide. Imagine the amount of tax that government gets. Huge amount of tax is collected by the government. But there is no transparent and efficient use of public finance and lack good governance. So these new guidelines were implemented to ensure transparency. And the second one is complex regulatory framework. We have 3 tier form of governance with diverse ministries and objectives. So to meet all the needs, new guidelines are framed. The third one is growing share of public procurement. See, here 30% of GDP, gross domestic product, was estimated for the public procurement in 2013 as per the reports of Competitive Commission of India. the share of public procurement is increasing. So, to meet the needs of the increasing share of public procurement, these guidelines are framed. The fourth reason is adherence to least cost selection. Adherence means giving importance to the least cost selection, that is L1 method. So, it is implemented to procure goods, non-consulting services like security, aerial photography, satellite imagery, mapping, maintenance. All these are examples of non-consulting services. More importance is given to the least cost methods, because if they give for least cost, the other money they can eat. So for that reason, L1 method is followed in almost everywhere in India. So what are the impacts of that? There is a least quality. Quality is underrated. So more importance is given to the least cost method, where the goods of least cost are selected for procurement. The Quality Council of India said that highway development sector has failed to consider the quality and performance. These are some of the reasons why the new guidelines were framed. Now let's revise again about the reasons for which the guidelines are framed. First is absence of comprehensive law, that is no comprehensive law framed for transparent, efficient and effective use of money. Second is complex regulatory framework. Third is growing share of public procurement. Fourth is adherence to least cost method or L1 method. So these are the reasons. And the next is key provisions under these guidelines. Under the new guidelines. So here, these are the general instructions framed under General Financial Rules 2017. Now, this General Financial Rule 2017 deals with matters of revenue and expenditure of government. So now let us look into the new guidelines framed under General Financial Rules 2017. The first is procedural clarity. There should be a clear and detailed information of technical and financial eligibility, and also there should be a clear and detailed information of technical and financial eligibility and clear specifications and important output parameters of EPC contracts, that is engineering, procurement and construction contracts. The second is digital thrust. Thrust here means push, that is digital thrust means digital push to promote open online tendering, electronic measurement books or EMBs, IT enabled products. Here EMBs are also used to report progress of the workers online. The next is for better project execution and quality needs by including quality assurance plan in tender documents, promoting quality cum cost based selections, that is QCBS, quality cum cost based selections, and by effectively checking stage wise progress and viewing the quality regularly, especially for the large contracts. The next fourth one is strict payment timelines, that is making strict payment timelines by issuing 75% of the payment within 10 days of the bill submission and paying interest for the delay payment, which can result to improve liquidity, that is money flow at contractors, especially for MSMEs. MSMEs means micro, small and medium enterprises. The fifth reason is dispute reduction, reducing the disputes through arbitration or court award so that the project is not delayed. The sixth one is introduction of incentives. It is used to encourage the stakeholders by giving incentives and ratings. And the next is allowing fixed budget based selection. So now let us look into the challenges that are in public procurement and project management. Many of the public projects are delayed due to insufficient funds, wastage of resources, etc. There is no transparency and accountability for the funds that are allocated in the budget, which leads to corruption and also other unfair practices. For example, limiting suppliers to decrease the competition in trading and by doing anti-competitive practices like price fixing agreement. Fixing agreement is also called cartel formation, and giving a tender to the person who offers more money, that is collusive bidding, and also the unfair practices to other competitors, that is abuse of dominance. All these are anti-competitive practices which are done by suppliers. That is one of the major challenges in public procurement and project management. And next is poor decision making. And the next is lack of competitive neutrality. And also poor grievance redressal mechanisms are the other challenges that remain in public procurement and project management. Now, way forward. Here, reforming the general financial rules in such a way that the poor project deliveries should pay additional penalty. If there is no quality for the project, then there should be a fine for that agency. That should be strictly implemented. And next is simplifying the procedures by encouraging transparency and frequent grievance redressal by involving the policy planners, public procurement officials, and other stakeholders. Here, frequent grievance redressal means responding to the complaints as soon as possible. So now, third point is to increase the competition, that is e-procurement methods should be promoted like central public procurement portal and e-government marketing, that is GEM portal, etc. Now the next is giving more importance to the quality and performance while giving the tenders rather than following L1 method. So by helping the suppliers to improve their competitive performance and by letting them to know the reason for being not successful, this process comes under right to know so that they can improve the next time. Next reason is next way forward is there should be a coordination between Competition Commission of India and governments or departments or public sector units to detect the unfair practices and corrupt firms. Coordination is very important between these two systems. And the next is procurement officials should be given awareness and taxing program and training programs. These are all the reasons, way forwards, and the challenges which are dealt in the public procurement and project management.